Spring cleaning. We all love the feeling of a refreshed house ready for the summer to come, right? Well, the process of getting that refreshed home looks a lot different now that you're in your 40s and 50s than when you were younger. So remember how when you were in your 20s, you would think about yourself in your 40s and 50s and think, yeah, that's when I'll be wise, when I'll pretty much have everything figured out. I'll be, of course, confident in myself after building my career and having all that experience. So now that you're in your 40s and 50s, do you actually feel that way? That you've got it all figured out, you're confident 24/7, that what you're doing is the right, well thought out strategy for yourself, for your kids, for your marriage, for your work. I'm 52, and some days I wake up less sure of myself now than when I was 25. Like I'm middle school insecure. Is it only me? I'm actually sure it's not just me. When I left the traditional workforce in my 30s, it was a big decision that my husband and I made together. He was 100% supportive of my choice, and he was on board with being the sole moneymaker of our household, at least temporarily. And with that, though, came this silent agreement that I made with myself. If I wasn't bringing in income, I was going to contribute in other ways. I was going to be the one who handled our home stuff, the cleaning, the cooking, the managing of everything that comes with running a household. And so I did that. I was determined to be smart with our money wherever I could, right? We had young kids. We had kids to send to school and college and all that. Well, in my mind, that meant that I should do the things that I could do myself, like the cleaning, cooking, managing the maintenance, the grocery shopping, all of that. Well, pretty soon I was burning out. I was feeling more and more isolated, taking care of the kids, doing the house stuff, volunteering. But I resisted hiring help for a long, long time. Now, not for anything, not for childcare or house cleaning or anything, because somewhere in my head, hiring help would have meant that I wasn't pulling my weight. It sounds ridiculous when I say it now. Like, of course, that's not rational. Of course, the value I was bringing to my family didn't come with conditions like that. But at the time, it felt like a moral thing, like a contract I'd signed. And here's what I've noticed years later, talking to women who are now in their 40s and 50s, working full time, running businesses, managing everything, who still have that same voice in their heads. They're living with that voice that's saying, you should be able to handle more of this yourself. Other people manage. If you really cared about your family, you'd be doing more of it yourself. So we don't hire help. Or we do hire someone and then we sort of feel guilty the whole time they're in the house, or we feel like they're not doing as good a job as they should be doing or as we could do. So this episode is about that voice, where it comes from, why it made sense in a different chapter of our lives, and why it might be the exact thing standing between you and a home that actually feels clean, refreshed, and set up for this spring season. Because spring cleaning in your 40s and 50s doesn't have to look the way it did when you were 35. This is episode 108. Spring cleaning looks different in your 40s and 50s. Here's how to do it right. And we're going to talk about the guilt first, not a quick acknowledgement before we move to the tips, but actually thinking about it, steeping in it, because I think a lot of women need to feel it consciously before they can move past it. And then we're going to talk about being choosy with delegation, what it really looks like at this age and this stage of life, and where it makes the most difference. And then we'll walk through what a real spring refresh looks like in your home, what gets missed over winter, what's worth doing once a year, and what you can hand off to someone else entirely. I've got a companion checklist in the show notes with all of it in one place. You can grab that when you're done listening, so you don't have to remember any of this in your head, okay? By the end of this episode, you'll have a clear, realistic picture of what a spring refresh looks like when you're running a full life at this stage, and a practical path to actually make it happen. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's start by talking about what's happening. In your 40s or 50s, you're working, you're running a business or a career, You're managing kids, whether they're still at home or nearly launched. You're probably also managing a home. And you're likely managing it the same way you managed it 10 or more years ago, which often means you're still the person who scrubs the baseboards or feels totally responsible that the baseboards have a quarter inch of dust on them, right? You're still the one who wipes down the range hood, still the person who at some point simply became the person who does these things or is responsible for these things. And your job, this home management job, is a hard thing to renegotiate now, even when everything else in your life has changed over the past decade or more. Research on domestic labor and what researchers call the cognitive load of home management shows that in households with two adults, women still carry the majority of the daily mental work of running a home. The planning, the tracking, the maintaining of the mental list. And that cognitive load doesn't go down just because your professional responsibilities go up. So there's this version of you that is accomplished and capable in your professional life. And then you come home and you're running on a much older operating system. You're doing it all yourself because that's what you decided you needed to do when the situation looked completely different all those years ago. And so I want to ask you, whose rule is that now? This connects to one of the 5 principles of organizing for beautiful living, Thrive Daily. It's the idea that your environment should support the life you're actually living, not the life you were living a decade ago. When we hold on to old beliefs about what we should be handling ourselves, we end up making our homes and our lives way harder than they need to be. I think a spring refresh is a great moment to ask yourself, what am I holding on to that's making this harder? Okay, so let's talk about delegation. And I'll be upfront that this is not a conversation with one right answer. What you delegate depends entirely on where the friction actually lives in your life and in your home. And that's different for everyone. So let me give you 2 examples from women I know, okay? Samantha hired a nanny for 4 hours every weekday evening so that she could cook dinner and eat dinner with her kids and her family, but without the multitasking that comes with little kids and dinner time. So she loves cooking. It was one of the things in her day that she looked forward to after a long day at work. But the hours between school pickup and bedtime were completely consuming her. Getting the kids fed, helping them with homework, bath time, all of it. And by the time she got to the kitchen, she was already running on fumes. She wasn't cooking. She was just surviving. With the nanny helping with that window of time, she could actually be in her kitchen without the nagging worry that because the chicken's not quite defrosted yet, she's running late with bath time. So she would cook with the older kids doing homework with her in the kitchen, or they were getting ready for their sports practices. And the nanny was helping with everything from finding the sports gear, packing up snacks for later, bath time for the youngest son, grabbing the laundry for tomorrow. And Samantha could cook and then sit down and eat dinner with her family and actually enjoy it. She didn't delegate the meals. She delegated childcare so she could keep meals for herself. And then there's Leanne. Leanne has a housekeeper, someone who comes in regularly, and she handles the cleaning. The housekeeper handles the cleaning and the laundry. But Leanne also has a house manager who comes 2 days a week. Different person and a completely different role. The house manager doesn't clean anything. What she does is manage the household's physical world. She takes care of things like returns that need to go back, the pantry that needs restocking, the organizing systems that drift over time and need to be refreshed, the follow-ups on repairs that nobody's gotten to, all of the stuff that's technically nobody's job, but somehow becomes one person's mental load. For Leanne, cleaning wasn't the thing that was draining her. She had a housekeeper. She had that handled. It was the endless inventory of decisions about her family's stuff. Okay? So before we get into specific examples, and we're going to talk about cleaning help and meal prep because those are the most common starting points for most women, can you sit with this question first for just a minute? Where does the friction actually live in your life and in your home right now? What's the thing that most drains your energy at home? For some of you, it's the cleaning. For others, it's meals. It might also be childcare, like Samantha. It might be home maintenance, having a handyman you can call so the repairs don't pile up for months. It might be a house manager situation like Leanne. It might be the grocery run or the errands or just the mental list of things to follow up on. Being choosy here means being honest about which of those is actually costing you the most. So the examples we're going to get into are starting points, okay? Not prescriptions. So cleaning. This is the most common place women start, and for good reason. It's consistent, it's predictable, and the impact is visible every single week. There are two main ways to approach this, and they feel quite different to manage. The first is hiring an individual, a housekeeper, someone who becomes a regular presence in your home, learns your preferences, and who you communicate with directly. This works well if you want consistency, if you have a specific way you want things done, and if you're comfortable managing that ongoing relationship. The second option is using a cleaning service company. And this model is different, of course, in a few key ways. You don't have to manage the individual team members directly. If something isn't done right, you can call the company. They handle the scheduling, the staffing, and the accountability. For a lot of women at this life stage, this actually works better because cognitive load of managing the staff is removed from you entirely. So there's no awkward conversation when something gets missed. You just call the company. Here's how I think about it. If you want someone who knows your home, knows where all the itty bitty things are, and gets better at doing it the way you like it over time, and you're comfortable with that kind of ongoing relationship, giving them feedback regularly, then an individual housekeeper might suit you well. If you want reliability and accountability without having to be the one managing the people delivering it, then a service company is likely a better fit. There are a few things worth thinking through before you start. What does a regular maintenance clean look like for you? How often? Is it daily, weekly, monthly? What's the scope? And separately, what's the spring deep clean scope? You can use your regular cleaning help for ongoing maintenance and use the same company or a different one for a once a year deep clean. We'll talk more about what that looks like in a few minutes. And listen, if you haven't hired cleaning help before and the idea feels a little strange, that's normal. That strangeness is just the adjustment that comes with updating a belief about what you should be handling yourself. So give it a month. Most women who make this shift say the same thing. They wish they'd done it sooner. Okay, now meals. This one is like even more loaded than the cleaning conversation because there's something cultural and emotional about who feeds a family. Cooking is tied up in love and care and identity. And somewhere along the way, for a lot of us, the idea of being a good mom got pretty tangled up with always cooking from scratch. If cooking is something you genuinely love, if it's a creative outlet, if it's how you decompress, if it's the part of your day you look forward to, then keep it, protect it like Samantha did. But if meal prep and dinner planning is more of a drain for you than a source of joy, if it's something you're doing mostly out of obligation or habit or an old belief about what's expected, this is worth looking at honestly. You have options and they're better now than they've ever been. There are the meal kit delivery services where the ingredients and the recipe arrive already portioned for you. Those are a good middle option if you like to cook, but the planning and the grocery run are what really drain you. You're still cooking, you're just not carrying the mental load of figuring out what to make and then sourcing everything yourself. Grocery delivery is a simpler version of this. You come up with your shopping list, but you don't have to go anywhere. If you enjoy cooking and planning meals, but the store visit is an hour you don't have or it's terribly draining for you, then delivery is probably worth the fee. And then there's takeout and prepared food, which, for the record, is a legitimate household strategy. Building a few no-cook nights into your regular week is a completely reasonable choice and a good example of work to live well in action. Work to live well being the fourth principle of organizing for beautiful living. In this case, you're using the resources you've gained by working to create a life that is fulfilling for you. For some women at this life stage, a personal chef or a periodic catering service is also worth looking into. It's more accessible than it sounds in a lot of markets, so it's worth a quick search in your area to see what's available, okay? Being choosy here means deciding where your time and your energy actually go. If cooking is something that fills you up, then protect it. If it's something that drains you, reduce it. You get to decide. Okay, so now let's talk about the actual refresh, the cleaning and resetting that maybe has been accumulating since winter or even since last spring. I put together a companion checklist in the show notes with all of this in one place. It's at fireflybridge.com/deep clean. So you can go to the show notes and grab that. It's printable and shareable, so you can hand it off to whoever is helping you this spring. And here I want to walk you through the categories so you can start thinking about what applies to you and what to delegate versus handle yourself. And I've organized it into 4 buckets. The first bucket is safety and air quality. These are the ones that matter not just for how your home looks, but for how it functions. So, dryer exhaust vents. Lint buildup in dryer vents is a leading cause of home fires. So, once a year, have your dryer vent professionally cleaned, or if it's a short, accessible vent, you can do it yourself with a cleaning kit from the hardware store. Again, what feels right for your life now, right? Heating and cooling vents, not necessarily all the ducts themselves, though every few years you can think about taking a look at how those are performing, but specifically the registers and your HVAC filters. Take the vent covers off, wash them, vacuum the openings, and replace your filter if it's been a while since you've done that. Now, if you have central air, schedule an annual HVAC service before the summer hits. Your kitchen extractor, the range hood, and its filters. These collect grease constantly. The grease filters usually come right out and you can soak them in hot soapy water or run them through the dishwasher. That's worth doing at least each season, if not more often. The second bucket is the surfaces you can see but never really clean. These are the things that live on kind of like the edge of your vision, and they create that low grade, something isn't right feeling in your house. They're the things like the baseboards, especially behind big furniture that you don't move often, right? Like your bed, the TV console, dressers behind the couch. So now in spring, you want to access those spaces with a damp cloth or even a dryer sheet if you use those to get all of the dust off of your baseboards. If you have a cleaning person coming, this is easy to add to their scope. Sealing corners. Cobwebs and dust are gathering there all year. And an extendable duster is going to handle those in a few minutes per room. The grout, kitchen and bathroom grout gets really dingy over time, right? And it's like one of those things that makes a remarkable difference when it's clean. So whether you do this yourself with a grout brush or you bring in a professional deep clean team to do it, it's worth addressing once a year. Bucket 3 are things that live with you but rarely get truly cleaned. The mattresses. Vacuum them, spot treat any stains, and let them air if you can. Mattress protectors can keep dust mites and old dead skin cells out of your mattresses. Yeah, ew. So use them. But then during spring cleaning, make sure you're washing that mattress protector. Your pillows. Most bed pillows can go through the washer, so check the care label. And if your pillows are more than 2 or 3 years old, it's worth asking whether they should just be replaced. I've read really gross articles about how much dust and dead skin cells are found in pillows. Yes, wash them. Upholstered furniture, so your sofas and your chairs, once a year, a deeper clean makes sense. You can rent or buy a portable upholstery cleaner or bring in a professional carpet and upholstery service to do both at once. This is a great thing to outsource. It's a lot of work. Check what kinds of chemicals they're using, though, to make sure you're not creating a worse problem for yourself. Curtains. They collect dust and odors over a whole winter. Most fabric curtains can be gently washed or you've got to take them to a cleaner. And I'm calling the fourth bucket the welcome home crew. These are the things that your guests see first and what you see every time you walk in. Your windows and the screens, inside and outside. Spring is the right time to clean these. You've had a whole winter's worth of condensation and buildup. Window washing services are very affordable in most markets. This is a good one to outsource, especially if you have a multiple story home. Your rugs and carpets. Area rugs can often be sent to a rug cleaning service, especially the really big rugs, right? Wall to wall carpet responds well to professional steam cleaning once a year or more. Your garbage cans inside your house, inside and outside those garbage cans. This one is quick and satisfying. Just use hot, soapy water or a non toxic disinfectant spray, and you're done. So that's the list I recommend. If you think I'm missing something, please let me know, okay? And again, the companion checklist is in the show notes and has all of it in one place. You can also find it at fireflybridge.com/deep clean. So print it, share it, hand it to whoever is helping you this spring. So now, how do you actually start? Before you decide what you're going to do yourself, decide what you're going to delegate. If you don't start there, you'll default to, well, I'll just do it all. And then you'll probably totally burn out or it just won't happen. So look at the list and ask, which of these really need professional equipment or expertise? Which of these are really big jobs that I absolutely need help with? Dryer exhaust cleaning, carpet and upholstery work, window washing. Those are great candidates to outsource. Which ones are just unpleasant, but maybe manageable in an afternoon? The baseboards, ceiling corners, your garbage cans maybe. So batch those into one Saturday morning or ask your cleaning help to do it. If you're thinking about cleaning help, by the way, get a quote from a local service for a spring deep clean. And if you're already considering regular help, ask about combining a deep clean with then recurring service. Most companies offer that. For meals, pick one thing to try this week, just one. Maybe it's ordering groceries instead of making the trip yourself. Maybe it's adding 2 takeout nights. Notice how it affects your energy. You don't have to overhaul everything at once, right? The spring refresh isn't a marathon weekend. It's a series of intentional, choosy decisions about how you want your home and your time to function this season of the year and also the season of your life. If you make those decisions deliberately, well, then it becomes a real reset. If you're trying to just let them happen by default, they'll probably stay on your list indefinitely. So let me bring this together. The voice that says that you should be doing all of this yourself, it made sense in a different chapter and time of your life. It came from real circumstances. Maybe you were leaving the workforce, or maybe you had a belief that you absorbed somewhere about what good looked like at home, or maybe you just had the long habit of being the person who handles things. But your chapter has changed. When your professional life looks different from what it did at 35, when your time is being pulled in more directions, when you have more resources and more clarity about what actually matters, it's worth asking whether that old belief still belongs to you. For a lot of women, the answer is it doesn't anymore. And recognizing that isn't about abandoning responsibility. It's caring enough about your home, your family, and your own life to be choosy about where your energy goes. All of the stuff we talked about today, bringing in cleaning help, getting some support with meals, outsourcing the dryer vent cleaning so you don't have to think about it, hiring a nanny so you can actually cook and enjoy it. All of that is organizing. It's deciding who does what and when and to what standard. That is exactly what a choosy organizer does. Your home at this life stage should be supporting the life you're actually living. A spring refresh done this way is a move forward. You're going into the next season with a clearer home and a plan that fits your life right now. And that is what Thrive Daily looks like. It's having an environment that supports you and not one that you're constantly fighting. So I put together the Spring Refresh Companion checklist with the full list of everything we covered today. It's organized by category, so you can use it yourself or you can hand it off to whoever's helping you. You can find it in the show notes and also at fireflybridge.com/deepclean. And if this episode gave you a little bit of permission to ask for help, to delegate something you've been doing yourself for way too long, I'd really appreciate it if you take a moment to leave a review wherever you're listening. It takes about 2 minutes and it helps other women find the show. And that's a great gift that you can give to other women that costs you nothing except a couple of minutes of your time. Listen, keep being choosy. Your home, your time, and your energy are all worth it. Have a beautifully organized week. I'm Z, and I'll see you on the next episode.